Oh boy.
Are you ready, Blake? Yeah. Okay. I will call the regular city council meeting for the city of Dunsmuir to order at approximately 6 p.m. on Thursday, June 1st. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. So just to let everybody know in the audience, we do have a little bit of a different format tonight because we do have a closed session. And so that session does not have anybody in the audience, but we do have a public comment for it ahead of time. But before I get into that, we should do roll call.
All right, let's see if this thing works. If anybody on Zoom cannot hear me, let me know. Councilman Keisler.
Here.
Council member Deutsch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Clarno.
Here.
Council member Brian is absent. Excuse absence. And Mayor Lucchese.
I'm here. Thank you. All right. So again, there's a little bit of a different format tonight because we have closed session items, and just for the edification of the public, closed session items do not have any members of the public available. Our discussion within these closed session items are private, and so there are government code sections listed in the agenda of those different items and where we get the authority to be able to meet in private on those. But before we go into closed session items, we do have a public comment section. So if you would like to come up and give a public comment on a closed session item, you may come up and you'll have 3 minutes as any other item. So tonight we have 2 items. One is employee organization operating engineers local OE3, which is labor negotiations. And then we have a conference on real property negotiations regarding the Castle Rock bottling site. So if you would like to make a comment about either of those items, now is the time to make a comment. And those on Zoom may go to the reactions button and raise your hand, and you may also have 3 minutes. All right, seeing none, we are going to now enter into closed session and ask that members of the audience give us privacy for that. We will make an announcement and reconvene once we have concluded our closed session discussion.
Thank you, folks.
Where's the send all? Where's the send all of the waiting room?
Right there. Right, Blake. All right, thank you, everyone. We will now reconvene back into regular session. During the closed session items, direction was given to staff, and they will follow up on that direction. We will move to item number 6, which is special presentations and announcement, and hand it over.
The second thing, let's say, city council approve the assignment.
Oh,
Well, that's Sassy. I actually have a motion at the end.
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's actually regular.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Have a good night, John.
Drive safe.
Take care.
It needs to be. You made it quick.
Yeah,
You knew how.
well, I say hail.
All right, thank you, everyone. So now we'll welcome up Steve and Brian for the farmers market update.
And I would also admit that Andrea Air
Yeah.
used to be part of the leader. That's now.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. Good to see everybody. It's been a while. I brought Andrea with me. She's passing the buck on to the resource center.
Good job.
Andrea ran it well for numerous years and she's staying on to help mentor us. We're kind of going a little bit different direction, so we're not going to be volunteer based. We're actually paying a market manager now to help run it, grow it, look for grants, bring in new vendors, and just wanted to let you guys know it's in good hands, and we look forward to running the market. I'll let Andrea speak a little bit though too.
I'm really excited about the Resource Center taking over the farmers market. I think it's in really good hands. It's a good fit. The market really is for everyone in the community, and it's a great favorite of many people in the community, many regulars. So I invite all of you to come and enjoy it. It's a special benefit to low-income families, seniors, and other individuals because of the market match, and their food dollars that they spend with their EBT cards are matched up to $20. So that can give them an extra $80 to $100 a month to stretch their food dollars. It's really important, but it also is very popular with the whole community. And I'm excited about the Resource Center taking it over because they work with the whole community, and can really get the word out. And I think the information goes the other way as well, because at the market, people can learn about EBT, WIC, and be introduced to the Resource Center because they can help them get enrolled in those programs if they're eligible. And almost every market, we would have a social service there to share information. We've had CAL FIRE, Public Health, Great Northern. So I think it's just a wonderful match, I believe. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for what you've done to grow the market and your kind words.
Before you say about Madam Mayor, I just think people should realize that somebody that is standing right here has been a critical part of the South County community. She was critical in the Bowles fire and helping people recover from that. She was the manager of the Resource Center at Weed, and she's been a valuable member of Rotary. And I just want to really thank you, Andrea, for all the work you've done, and the community really needs to thank you.
Here.
Yeah, so I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have and just give you update, let you know the farmer market is in good hands and we're looking to make it special, and it always been special, but I think with a paid market manager, it could be even more and diverse and help with grant funding. So we're not leaning on the city for money. It can support itself. We're restructuring the fees for the vendors there. We've gone to an online application process, and we're going to be using other techniques that streamline operations, so it's easier for vendors to get paid and for the market to sustain itself and long term. So we're looking at June 29th right now as an opening date. It'll still be on Thursdays. Unfortunately, with all the wet weather we received, some of our vendors aren't able to bring enough produce to the market until June 29th. So we want Julia's to be there. That's our biggest draw. So we kind of need her to be there to make it a good market. And then our garden here, organics certified with the state, grown here downtown Dunsmuir produce. We don't have a lot right now either because of all the wet weather. So, we had a lot of snow, as you saw this winter, which was great, but got a little late start. So we're looking at June 29th, still on Thursdays. It's going to be 4 to 6:30. And yeah, so we're still going to be at the community center, at least for the short term. I'm talking about long term. We are working with other markets. We're working with Nancy Swift and Jedi in the Mount Shasta market. We're working with the Etna Farmers Market in Wairika also. We're partnering with we kind of got a conglomerate going with all the markets meeting monthly, and kind of have a vision of having one maybe market manager for all the markets for the county. So trying to get everybody on board with that. And I think that'd be best for the whole county and all the communities to have one market manager lead it all. So working towards that too. See how that goes.
Good job, dude.
Yeah. A couple of quick things. I hope you don't mind this kind of market related. Where the market is going to be tomorrow night, we have the family fun night, free barbecue. We have a surprise coming at 5:30. You'll have to be there if you want to see what that is. But we have magicians and balloon time and other community partners will be there doing activities for children and families. Free burgers, hot dogs, and other stuff. Thank you to Rotary. They've been a big sponsor of this event, and the Dunsmuir Clinic also. And then on next week, on June 7th, we have our blessing of the community garden. We do this every year in the spring. We have a Native American presence. We have a local minister will be there, and then we also have a Eastern religious presence. So a little multicultural blessing of the garden on Wednesday, 10 a.m. And we'll have light refreshments. And then if anybody's interested in sponsoring a bed, we're doing our annual bed sponsorship. It's $100 for bed. We'll make you a nice, beautiful sign, promote you or your business, however you want to donate. And like all the money goes directly back into the garden. Everything that we raise for the garden gets spent in the garden, which helps support the community. We do cooking and nutrition classes with the food that's grown in the garden. We supplement senior food commodity boxes with fresh produce. We do children and family garden programs to teach kids while they're young how to grow their own food and be in the garden and support themselves. And everything that's left over is sold at the farmers market. So you're welcome. I'll leave these over here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Steve, thanks for all you do.
All right, thank you. We'll now open it to our section of the agenda for general public comments. These are items that you'd like to comment on that are not on the agenda. If you'd like to make a comment about our special presentation, you're free to do that now. Or if you would like to make a comment on the consent agenda, which is just the check register for May 13th through May 26th, 2023. And so you may approach the podium for items not on the agenda, for our special presentation or our consent agenda. And again, if you are on Zoom, you can hit the reactions tab and raise your hand.
Tim Holt. First of all, a brief announcement. The library will be having another family games and movie day, June 24th from 2 to 4. It is free. It is, of course, family friendly. So you can pass the word again. That's June 24th, which is a Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. And as one of our library board members, I sometimes represent the library before the council on city matters pertaining to finances and lately on repair of the building. I want to bring to the attention of the members of the council the fact that on library matters, I'm experiencing an unprecedented lack of communication from City Hall. Letters, emails, and phone messages have gone unanswered for months. In my 28 years of involvement with the city, decades of positive and productive relations with city officials, this almost total lack of communication from the current city manager is unprecedented. I think you'd agree that struggling small towns like ours to be successful need active collaboration between engaged citizens and city officials. That is not what I'm experiencing at the present time. Here's one example. Starting in March of this year, through letters, emails, and phone messages, I attempted to make contact with the city manager and the Public Works Department about the placement of 2 signs the library board had purchased. One is to be placed at the central exit of the freeway to direct visitors toward the downtown and our library. The other to be placed right in front of the library, we asked to be facing north, so those coming off the freeway could see it. So now, after no response to those communications, the city has placed one of those signs in front of the library, and it is facing in the opposite direction from what we requested. And no surprise, I guess, my letter to the city manager requesting that this be corrected has gone unanswered. All the members of the library are volunteers, dedicating ourselves to keeping our library going to the benefit of this community. It feels a little ridiculous to have to make this request, but we at least deserve a response from City Hall to our communications. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments about items that are not on the agenda related to our special presentation or items on the consent agenda?
Peter Arth, 5859 Sacramento Avenue. I wasn't here for the flag salute. My hope was that the salute would be dedicated to veterans in remembrance of Memorial Day. It saddened me, having lived in this community for 15 years, it's the first time that I've seen the city absolutely ignore Memorial Day. No flags, no anything. And I don't know the circumstances, but if I had known that there would be no flags, I would have wished the city, whether it's the Public Works Department or some other member of this body, to say, you know what, Peter, no one wants to put out the flags. I would happily do so. I would find friends to do so. And as we move toward Veterans Day, 11/11, if there's any issue around celebrating that we in fact honor veterans, please let me know in advance. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on items not on the agenda, the consent or special presentation? Seeing none, we'll move into council and staff comments, and we'll start with city manager.
Before we do that, I'm just thinking, before we do anything further with the agenda, we have item C, which is requiring a couple of people to pick around throughout all of the others. We just switch item C up in front of A.
You're asking for item 13C?
Yep.
Okay. So the item 13C is Castle Rock lease transfer approval. Is there any discussion on the request to move that to the next item?
If we're gonna do that, I would maybe move railroad day closure also up.
All right, so there's a request for two items to be moved up. So there's a request to move item 13C.
And 14A,
8 and 14A
I would concur with this assessment.
issue. All right, seeing no issue with the council, we will rearrange the agenda to have the next item be 13C. The next item after that will be 14A, and then we will move back to item 8. And so we will now move to item 13C, which is the Castle Rock lease transfer approval, and I will hand this over to the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. I'm gonna find it in my agenda now. All right, Mayor and Council, so we have, we received a request from Castle Rock Water early on in the year. And now they have presented me with the request to transfer the lease. They have found a purchaser. And I believe the current owner is here and may like to say a word. Would you like to say something, Kit?
And also, could we have the potential new owners also come up as well and maybe introduce yourselves after Kit?
Sam.
Yeah.
Sam is one of the potential new owners.
Sam, and if you can speak to the microphone just so that we can hear you on Zoom.
Hi, I'm Sam. I am one of the new potential owners.
This is Sam Tapper, and he is one of the owners of the High Frequency Beverages Group that we've been very impressed with. He's also a fisherman, which is nice.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Fisherman.
Well, that's half the battle, dude.
Maybe the rest of it is he flies airplanes and, looking for a hangar. Anyway, so thank you. I'm sorry, I kind of pulled you out of it, but I wanted to introduce you. Yeah, I wanted to tell you that David and I have had 5 really hard but very rewarding years with and I think we've taken it from nothing, which I have to say it was, to really something now and is so ready to take off. But we're both, this is David Marshall, my brother, you know, and we're the co-owners. And we have really appreciated the city and the work you've done. I wanted to tell you to help us in so many ways over all the time we've been here. And I just wanted to make sure that you know that it's our heart-filled thanks. And we also are staying for the transition if you approve it and so on. We're going to stay for a while and kind of help make everything move nicely. This last couple of days, for the last 3 years, we've been approved for what's called it's called Safe Quality Food. And so if you've noticed, we've got a big banner up there on the side of the building that says we're SQF certified, which we're very proud of. And one of the reasons I may look a little drawn right now is that the surprise audit came today. And so we've got tomorrow to make it through. But I swear, you know, I thought I was going to pass out. I was thought, you know, we had windows open and fans going on, and this woman is so, oh God, what can I say? She's an auditor. And she's just like all over it. And so, you know, loves her job and everything. So, you know, I'm thinking, just let me live through the next 2 days without having a heart attack. But we also had another, you know, about the East Palestine, and you guys made that happen. You made that come together. We've been asked if we could send some more water, that they loved it. It's the best water in the world. They said that. I said, can I quote you on that? Anyway, I'm excited for the future. I think that the group is just that Sam is amazing and very, very fun to work with and has so many good ideas. You're just super smart. And I think that he's going to contribute a lot to what you're doing here too, as well. Yeah. And I also wanted to introduce his colleague. This is Matt Chung. I may have said it wrong, but he's a financial wizard. So anyway, I really just wanted to thank you guys so much. The council, excuse me, I'm supposed to address it as the council, right? I just wanted to thank you for the time that we've had with you and we'll still have, but I think that you're going to see so many wonderful things happening that will take it to the next level.
Question for you, in all of your planning, how did you work into the equation, how the city here is going to feel with the emotions after you and David are around us?
That's where I'm getting at right now. Madam Mayor.
It's a perfect part of our community. And
Yeah.
So.
It isn't a question, it is a statement. These two, our lawyer left here tonight and in closed session, we was talking about, he said you were a blessing to this town when you guys came in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And that's from our lawyer, so it's gotta be legal.
And he's a tough guy too.
I've been involved in a lot of events, from my soapbox derbies to railroad days to the 4th of July run of Mount Shasta. And you have contributed thousands of gallons of water. When there was a train catastrophe similar to our own here in Dunsmuir, talking about the
East Palestine.
okay, East Palestine and
Ohio.
no, what's our Cantera Loop?
Oh, you're here.
I mean, it was comparable,
Yeah.
and you stepped up to the plate, and you guys, I helped, I watched you load that truckload of water, and I, for one, might not get this opportunity, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. They deserve a big round of applause. In the bottom of my heart, my community, you guys have been a big part. And
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck. But the puppies, there you go. We look forward to it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway, I don't know what
Thank
more
you.
to say. Thank you. That was so great. Yeah, I think that was the highlight for me. It was like, I think I stood there saying to Dustin, boy, when you get to my age, you got to be doing these things, you know, to make that happen. So I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I better sit down, right? Somebody's gonna have to bring me Kleenex. Anyway, thank you so much for.
Thank you guys again.
Support. Really.
Let me do it.
So we'll return back to the item. Would you like to discuss the details of the property or the proposed transfer of ownership?
Yes, so Mayor and Council, so as Kit mentioned, so Castle Rock Water will be, they've requested to transfer to High Frequency Beverages LLC. And then essentially we're looking for a motion to approve that transfer and of the lease.
But it's still gonna be still called Castle Rock.
Yes, just the ownership of the corporation.
Cool.
So we've, since it is more than 51%, then the required transfer has to be approved through the council.
So we'll look at that. Any questions regarding the transfer of ownership?
No, man.
Okay, thank you. We'll now open this up for public comment. Anyone who would like to make a public comment regarding this item may come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes, or you may raise your hand on Zoom and make the same comment time. Seeing none, we'll close public comment on the item and return into discussion. Is there any discussion at hand?
No, ma'am.
All right. So do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer of the lease to High Frequency Beverages Incorporated, and that all parties agree that all past rent requirements have been met, effective on the date of the legal assignment. Okay,
All right, is there a second?
lease assignment.
There's a motion and a second by Councilmember Keisler and second by Councilmember Deutsch. All those in favor, please actually, I'll do a roll call vote on this one because it's a transfer of real property or ownership. Go ahead.
Excellent. So Councilmember Bryan is absent. Councilmember Keisler,
Yes.
Councilmember Deutsch,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Carno.
Aye.
Mayor Lucchese.
Aye. Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Kit and Dave. Thank you. Thanks so much.
So we'll now move into item 14A, which has been moved up in the agenda, and this is the item regarding the Railroad Days Road, or the Railroad Days Road closure. So I'll now hand it over to the city manager.
All right. Mayor and Council, as you know, our annual Railroad Days is coming up in a short 2 weeks. And we actually have our next meeting about the day before it starts. So this is the annual street road closure request for all the various different closures needed to make sure the event happens and without a hitch. And I believe Sandra has some comments if you'd like to hear them.
Madam Railroad Day.
The Queen of Railroad.
Madam Railroad Days.
Hi, Sandra Hood, 6235 Hill Street, President of the Railroad Days Committees. This is our annual road closure request. And I hope everyone has a copy of my three-page request. Beginning with Dunsmuir Avenue, we want it blocked between Pine and Cedar Streets on Saturday, June 17. We actually need the road closures probably starting at 6:30. We don't need a hard closure, but we need it so especially on the busy block between Pine and Cedar, that we don't have cars there. That's where the parade's going to go down. But it's also where we would like to put our one-day vendors if we have an overflow. And I prefer to have them on the west side of the street. Last year, somehow they all ended up on the east side. But I do know that I think the core people, and there's one other group that is supposed to be here working with fire defense, that they want to be back out there again this year, just for that day. The next thing is the city parking lots. We want the north lot and we also want the south lot. The north lot actually will have to be closed starting on Thursday, June 15th, because that's the Weed Public Works will deliver the main stage. And they don't work on Fridays, so they have to deliver it on Thursdays, and they will be in probably just before 8 o'clock. And it will not be removed until Monday morning, June 19th. We want the south, the only part we need on the south lot is We want to use 4 of the parking spots, and I have the signs for it, for the entertainers, so they have a spot to pull in. And then the rest of it will be open to whoever wants to use it. I also found out we're going to have extra porta potties, so we're going to stick a couple of porta potties. Mr. Wilson showed me where it'd be a good spot to put a couple of extra porta potties in there. Pine Street on Shasta Avenue, we want that closed off beginning 3 p.m. Friday, June 16, all the way to Sunday, June 18 to 7 p.m. That's where the main vendors are going to be. The food vendors will be there. The vendors that will be there for the entire 3 days. That's what they'll be. The parade is going to be on Saturday, June 17th. And we'll be talking with the sheriff's office about the road closures starting down at the central exit. So we don't have people just joining the parade at noon. And those hard closures start at 11:30. And the parade usually only goes till about 1 o'clock. It'll exit down Brandstetter, and then they will disperse either along Sacramento Avenue or up to where their main vehicles are by Florence Loop. Children's Park, we're asking for that on Saturday, June 17 and Sunday, June 18. For Saturday, we would like it from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Revived Church is going to handle the kids zone activities at that time. On Sunday, we plan to have the watermelon eating contest and the dunk tank in that area. It's possible we may have a petting zoo, but it hasn't been firmed up. So we would like Children's Park on Sunday, June 18th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The other concerns is last year we had a variance. The sheriff said we had to go through you to have the variance for the alcohol so that people who get it at Main Stage can just go ahead and walk down to Pine Street. They will have bans, right, for that. The Eagles will be doing it this year. They're anxious. They did it a few years ago. They're anxious to do it again. The one problem we had last year was people bringing in their own alcohol. So besides having a sign that says no alcohol beyond this point, we will have signs on the opposite side that says you may not bring in your own alcohol, because that was a big contributor to some of the problems that we had last year. I don't know how early we can get the notice that certain spots like Pine Street will be closed and the north parking lot will be closed, but if we could have them maybe earlier in that week, if that's possible. If you need help with signs, I love making signs. Trying to think that there's anything else. So if you have any questions, I'm here.
Great. Questions?
No. She knows how to do it. Whatever she says, go with it.
And so the variance doesn't need to go through ABC.
It will still have to go through
Okay.
ABC. Yeah,
But
but
they need our approval.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
What we do non-electricity.
We have, when we started putting the main stage over in the north lot, John
Posted.
Poston and Pat
Yes,
Olson worked on beefing up that system. And then Railroad Days, I don't know, 15 years ago, paid for a customer-owned box, and that box is on the northwest corner of Travelers. And now I haven't spoken with the new owners of Travelers this year. I did talk with them last year. So all we have to do is I take my locks off and I flip the switch.
Okay.
And it's somehow in the deal of buying a customer-owned electrical system, the electricity is already paid for that day. The bill, I worked with Blake last year and we found the city wasn't getting a bill. So the only thing I can assume is within the payment of that customer-owned system, it's paid in perpetuity,
There was some point along the way I think when Todd was still here, where there was talk about working into an agreement with that company that has a Travelers Hotel, putting in actually a special door on the side there with a place to have a box
For volunteers.
That's what they, and when I spoke with Gregory, I can't think of the gentleman's name with Western Real Estate or some, whatever. Anyway, it wasn't something they were gonna do right away.
Okay.
They weren't gonna do it last year, obviously. It's not gonna happen this year.
Sure.
But we also, one of the riders, liability insurance waivers that we're getting includes them also because of the sidewalk use.
So again, back to question.
I've got one question here.
Yes, sir.
And I believe, well, actually, this is more for Justin. I believe due to Bruce's Facebook post that the construction at the park will be done by this point. Correct. And it will be back open. Okay, cool.
You made a lot of people happy with that word. I put it on Facebook, so.
Oh.
Yeah,
Good.
as I was reading that, I was like, oh no, is it gonna be ready?
That's good.
At that time. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anything else you'd like to add from city staff perspective?
No, I think so. As long as we just address the alcohol variance component, then.
Okay. All right, we will now open this up for public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment related to the proposed street closures as well as the requested ABC license variance, you may choose to either raise your hand via the reactions tab, or you may approach the podium for 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll now move into discussion.
I see no verbiage, but I'm ready to make a motion if it's acceptable.
So I believe there's 2 items that we need to rule on. So there is a suggested vote. Oh, sorry, that's Councilor Rock.
Yeah.
So I believe the suggested vote would be
To allow the city manager, to grant the city manager the authority to fulfill these requests. That's the easiest, simplest way.
do we have to make specific findings for the ABC license?
That I'm not sure on. That would have been the John question, but.
Just grant you the
We can do a
authority.
Secondary motion on that.
No, so when you have to make findings, you have to make specific findings within the motion itself to grant the
Okay.
variance. So, second.
And I think while you're looking it up, the ABC requirements are very strict as well in terms of actually cordoning off and roping and making sure that there is a clear designated area. So I just want to make that note
We
as well.
did it in the past,
So-
like I said, it worked fine, except for the people bringing their own alcohol in.
I was just making a note that there needs to be a very clear defined area that is segregated, separated, cordoned off, has physical barriers for an area that it needs to be. And that's, so we don't, so we have no, council doesn't have a variance to allow difference than that.
So there's no exception for members of the public. So how will the ABC license work? So the previous license, they cordoned off the stage area. You have to have fencing, you have to have signage, you have to check IDs. But to walk from this area where the stage is to Pine Street, that entire side of the sidewalk will also have to have a fence, and it will have to be confined.
So I think I might know a way to word that if you want me to propose that particular.
Well, you're going to put it on the sidewalk itself, you just have the street itself at the other end, right?
Yeah, the 2 streets, that's how they did it before. They blocked off that end, they blocked off this end. They could go down both sides of the street in that downtown area. They couldn't go past there. They couldn't go past here. Trust me, they didn't. But they brought their own alcohol in.
So I apologize.
And my question was, I didn't know who carried that ABC license. Was it the city or was it the Eagles?
It would have been the Eagles.
Well,
A
actually,
good way to word this would just be to allow the variance as long as it complies with all applicable ABC regulations.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Good job, Mr. Vice Mayor. That was good.
So I would ask for an amendment. to-
I'll just retract mine and let you go with that one.
Okay, and are we doing both at the same time or 2 separate ones?
If you would like to do both at this.
Okay, I move that we adopt the proposed street closures. And issue a alcohol variance as long as said variance follows all required ABC rules and regulations.
I'll second that.
All right, there's a motion, a second by Council Member Clarno and second by Council Member Keisler. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, we will now move back into our regular agenda items with item number 8, which is council and staff comments, and I'll open it up for the city manager and city staff first.
All right, so two things we kind of got jumped ahead on, but the Children's Park is the new playground is being the old one is out officially, and I think they got rained out today. They were trying to dig holes, but the new one is here to ready to be installed, and so that should hopefully be completed by the end of next week. Kind of based on.
So there are other parts of this element, with student tables and things that are, if I remember correctly. We have a rendering of what that was done. Can I get a copy of that? So I can-
Yeah, I think I didn't find it, but I will look for it again.
The tables had to get nixed.
I think now there's a bunch of people think this ain't for connecting to the city, and that's good.
Yeah. Let's see, updates here. Hold on, let me make sure it's something. Okay, my notes got intermingled because, all right, so myself and the Public Works Director, we've been in conference with Caltrans in a number of different avenues. So the project that is about to begin on the northbound lanes and the southbound bridge, that's $140 million project. There has been people that have noticed they've done surveying and staking down in the Tallandale Park area. There will be some, so they're building a causeway essentially across above the park and all the way across the river so they can put a crane on it. And that causeway will be built over the duration of this year. And then the following year, they will deconstruct the southbound bridge. And then the year after that, they will remove the causeway. So they're building a bridge to take down the bridge to build a new bridge. And then they'll take down the temporary bridge.
I-5 southbound.
I-5 southbound. And so in that whole process, so our water line also runs on that structure.
Right.
And so I don't know how many hours Dennis and myself have spent on that in the last 10 days or so, but probably in the 30 to plus range. And so there's a number of challenges that we're dealing with and trying to make sure that the temporary line is going to meet the requirements and we're not going to blow it apart because of our pressures and all kinds of different technical things. And so we're working with Pace Engineering to make sure that we're all of our stuff is protected in the process of the reconstruction of that bridge. And so there will be some temporary closures in the Tallandale area, and there's kind of be a hard line of do not cross. And so there will be periods of time where the road will be closed, the trail with the little bridge right there underneath the I-5 bridge, that bridge will have to be removed so they can do their work, and then they'll reinstall all of that and any other appurtenances that we have in that area. So there's a big giant logistical challenge to make sure that our I-5 lift station is also under there, and we need to check that and have access to that 24/7. So there's a large plethora of things we're trying to make sure we're taken care of on. And then Union Pacific is ramping up. They are aware of the street closures. I will, now that it's been confirmed, I'll recommunicate with them regarding their inbound, outbound traffic for railroad days. They have also demolition is complete of the Union Pacific building and of the Public Works building. And now the next step for them is to begin dry excavation. And then they will begin wet excavation on approximately the 15th of June. And so that is ramping up very quickly and expected to last through December.
Thank you.
And, that's it.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move into council member comment or to the finance director. Okay. Councilman Claire.
I've just got a couple relatively short ones here. First off, we brought this up in finance committee, and I know I brought it to city staff to look into. Just so we can get a few things done. So our 6th of July meeting is on the Thursday after 4th of July. And I know it's going to be relatively hard with certain, or the city staff taking vacations, or I don't know what council members' plans or members of the public's plans are taking vacations around there, not being in town. However, this June is one of the 5 Thursday months, or yeah. So basically, the last Thursday, so we have a 2-week gap before in between meetings, and as long as it works with city staff, I don't know if they've looked into this too much. And what your thoughts are on it. I was proposing moving the July 6th meeting to June 29th, so the last Thursday in June. That would also allow us to get a few things done, which I think we need to should have done earlier than the July 15th meeting, and give us time to do a few things, such as community promotions and make sure we have the budget nailed down.
Well, what was the change to? I'm sorry.
So from July 6th, which would be our first meeting in July, moving that a week ahead to June 29th.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and then that still gives us 2 weeks between the second meeting in June and that new meeting, since it's one of the extra Thursday months.
Okay.
If there's consensus, I can bring that back as a motion on the 15th meeting. Yeah.
We could just-
So
we
That's
could-
also the day of the farmer's market.
That's
Mhm.
fine.
You just stepped on mama's toes.
Hmm?
It's a open farmer's market.
Well, we don't meet till 6, so we can all go to the farmer's market. Typically closed by 6. Yeah, we're good. So,
Okay,
yeah,
So I think there's general consensus that a special meeting is favorable as opposed to holding the July 6th meeting. So we'll just cancel July 6th at this time and post a special meeting on the 29th.
Good suggestion, sir.
Yeah, usually people aren't, I think people would be more inclined to not appear on the 6th as opposed to the 29th.
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the thought process I was having. And then the other thing that I just literally just thought of is if we are going to be moving items in the agenda like we have the last 3 or 4 meetings. What was the feasibility of adding some page numbers to the agenda items? So that way, when we move things around, or when around, yeah, so. All right, and that's all I've got for this evening.
yes. Well, then that's what I wanted to thank Sam and his partner from the Castle Rock. I want to remind everybody about the barbecue tomorrow night. Starts about 4 o'clock, free food, a lot of games for the kids. There's also a bike rodeo happening at Dunsmuir Elementary School on Tuesday the 6th. And if you got a bike laying around, donate it. We're trying to give kids that don't have bikes, bikes. They're all getting the helmet. We got people working on the bikes and making them safe. So just saying, if you got a bike laying around, this is a good cause. The rodeo teaches the kids safety, hand signs. They get to learn about road safety. They get to learn about their bikes with the crankshaft chain, pressure of the tires. We got special people coming in to teach these kids this. The next thing I want to address is flags. I am the flag man of this town. I've been putting flags out for 13 years. This year I didn't put them out because of the thunderstorms. Every year I put them out. I get yelled at. I've been cussed out at 2 o'clock in the morning and called non-patriotic because the flags are flying in the rain. And I went and put them away. It's hard to put away wet flags. They get moldy. I just recently this week approached the Rotary and got approval. We are getting 20 new waterproof flags to go with the couple that we have. So I promise that the flags will fly, rain or shine, won't hurt the flags, make proud. And Mr. Art, I will personally work with you to put something together for Veterans Day if you'd like to. Thank you, sir, for bringing it to our attention. And I apologize, but that was a situation because of the thunderstorms and the flags getting moldy. Thank you. Go ahead.
Councilmember Dwight.
Thank you, ma'am. First one is that I had been told by somebody that the city of Paradise had put together a good grant in order to get alarm systems like we've been exploring earlier on. And so I just want to let you know that I kind of worked that into my mind around the challenges we have with the snow removal policy about how to get the word out. And one of the nice things about these new systems is that their voice. So at any time, if you said we got to move, blah, 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 we could let everybody know in the whole valley in just a moment. So I'm going to be pursuing that grant, seeing what I can come up with by reaching out to Paradise. The other thing I just wanted to kind of give you up to speed on is that thanks to the initiative of our city manager reaching out to the executive director of the chamber and bringing together a group of restaurants. The chamber, and again, Vice Mayor is the liaison. I'm just kind of working as a worker bee right now as a member, but I'm working with the chamber right now to bring into play. And I'm working also at the same time with the Discover Siskiyou and the T-Bid. There are two products that we're working on that would be able to give a visitor to the city the ability to open up their app, whether it's either on a URL on a website, or whether it's an app that I'm going to be proposing to Discover Siskiyou. And they would be able to tell what restaurants are open at that moment, which I think is a key thing for visitors. And up until now, they have to go on Yelp or whatever and do all kinds of other things. I know that Stacy Michelson had told me that working down by the wheelhouse there, that on the days when the wheelhouse is closed, they spend all their time sitting there outside having a break, letting people know what restaurants are open. So the good news is I talked to Quentin Gaddy, and he thinks that this is something that Discover Siskiyou will easily be able to handle in terms of their budget. And the other thing is that would open us up to the county doing it. So we'd be able to access these two apps, these two capabilities along with all the other cities. And I think it would be a nice, and the reason it kind of got sparked was with the hotspots coming on, the ability to capture an individual when they log on to the landing page and then say, well, let's go to Yaks because it's got so many, good stars. On the other hand, we can capture them, tell them what's going on that night, the different lodging places. So that's the approach that we're taking. And I know that Cynthia Henderson and Cheryl have been doing a really good job of pulling together all the information. So right now we have a wealth of information on all the different restaurants when they're open and when they're not. So that's what we're playing with.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into committee reports. I believe there's one committee report for today.
So the finance committee met. We're almost done with the budget. It should be ready to vote and finalize on at the next city council meeting. Unless I'm not going to go into too much right at this second because I know Blake will be doing a little presentation. Just be aware that when you're looking at the projected final balances for this year, there is still a significant deficit because item number under revenues, this is on page 19 of the agenda packet. There's a $200,000 revenue item under 4621.21. And then on the next page, on page 20, there is a 5183.21. That's also the same value. Those are the same revenue source that's just been double counted. So that's going to lower that budget back down to where it was, but basically back down to where it was the last. So I just wanted to point that out for you. Looking at that. So oops, not to get too excited about the number that's there because it will be going back to what it was before for the finalized budget when we meet in 2 weeks.
Right. Any other committee meetings? Seeing none, we'll move into approval of the minutes of May 18th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Councilmember Keisler, second by Councilmember Clarno. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We'll move into the consent agenda. Item 11A, check register for May 13th through May 26th, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Keisler, second by Councilmember Deutsch. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We have to get to a lot tonight, so I'm running fast. Item number 13A is the budget review for 2023-2025.
I think Michael stole all the thunder. So the main piece was simply that I messed up. I added an extra 200 grand, which would be nice, but unfortunately it's not going to happen. So we won't have an extra 200 grand in there. So the deficit is still about that negative 200 and something. There is some reserves in there. I don't have the reserve numbers in the budget documents at the moment, but they will be in there. That's another.
Is that part of the solution or is it still a shortfall?
We'll definitely be over our reserve target. So I know that I don't know the exact numbers at the moment, but I know for certain we'll be above the reserve target. So that's a good news.
So we're not applying for food stamps yet.
No.
Okay, just checking.
We're keeping the lights on. Yeah.
Okay, keeping the lights on.
The other pieces, I don't know if I mean, I'll
Let you go and then I'll follow up.
yeah. So just the I just want to
What page
mention
do you
that
want me?
I don't know. I print mine out like this. So
Okay.
I don't do page numbers. I try and
If you,
I-
I think you're looking at
True.
it, to get your page number.
That's all right.
I'm just talking in general that we've got the pictures in there now, got the table of contents. You see the vision statement, you see the goals in there. The budget message will be inserted when we get that completed. But we've done a little bit of work on those goal sections. And then what you're looking at is a more, refined look of how the budget will look. There are some few tweaks that I do need to make. Other than that, numbers are relatively the same, except for that extra 200 grand. And so on that, I'll leave it to Dustin.
All right, as you can see, number one goal is the public works construction building, so that's page 14. Based on a lot of the kind of what's driving our budget, I kind of reprioritized where we were, kept some of the old goals, added some new goals. Essentially, number one goal is public works construction. And I believe the update for that will be right after the budget. We can chat about that. Addressing city facility improvements. And so
Could you clarify when you say that? Fire department, library?
absolutely, yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So to addressing facility improvements, I think it was probably a month ago, I asked you guys for authorization to go forward with a contractor for a roof for the library. That's obviously not happening this budget year, so we're moving that into next budget year, so it's on that cycle. In reference to the $216,000 proposed deficit, $196,000 of that budget is going to be spent on either the public works building or other facility improvements. So it's all capital. And so essentially, we're only in the deficit of about 150,000 for operational miscellaneous stuff. And so, but we are in a really good shape from the finance side. And once he has the official numbers. Once he has the numbers for that, I mean, I would say we're probably 30% over what our reserve requirement is.
Okay.
And we'll still maintain above the reserve requirement with that spend. But I think it's a necessary spend. So essentially, we're budgeting for 96,000 in improvements. That's the library. We're looking to do some improvements in this council chambers area, and then also some security related improvements over in City Hall. And that's, we'll pretty much swallow that budget up. The equipment budget is probably after that is probably it's actually, well, it won't be larger than the public works building, but it's essentially larger than everything else. So, and I didn't get this added. I got this afternoon. Thanks to Dennis, finally added up. So the next 2 years, essentially, we're going to spend about $804,000 on equipment. But don't be afraid. 550,000 that's budgeted in the airport, and 90% of those funds are covered. And so we're taking a pretty aggressive approach towards that. We've received a letter from California Air Resources Board, basically giving us retirement dates on all of our large heavy equipment, our 2 backhoes, our wheel loader, and our motor grader.
Could you explain to the folks that don't know why this is happening, why we have to spend this money right now?
Yes, so California Air Resources Board has has put deadlines on retirement for all vehicles or all off-road vehicles and on-road vehicles related to diesel or greenhouse gas emissions. And especially they're focusing on the dirtiest ones first. And so unfortunately,
We're dirty.
we have some older equipment. All of our wheel loader, and both backhoes and the motor grader are all out of compliance, and would move into what they would call, emergency only operations, effective December 31st of 2024. And so at the midway through our second fiscal year of this budget, we can only use them in emergency operations, which means we could use them for snow removal. But I mean, we use,
There's a cap on this one.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
we even lose a lot of that. Yeah, they're already capped on their hours. But then snow removal, there's no cap because that's emergency operations. But essentially, we couldn't move those unless it's for an emergency operation.
Right.
But we use them on a daily basis right now. And that's the challenge, right? So we're going into this budget pretty aggressive to kind of overcome some of that and taking advantage of some opportunities with the airport and some new snow removal equipment to help offset some of those expenses.
Well, I hope somewhere in the budget, there's some new chair. We're all squeaking, you know? Some new chair.
Blake, are we, it's completely past the whole COVID funding kind of world now? All of those are past us, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Nice try.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no more.
Yeah.
Gotta go to my notes budget, wait, hold on. And so as you can see, there's a number of, formatting things that we're going through. Continuing the goal, I guess let's go through goals, infrastructure plans and improvements. So we discussed sewer master plan a couple meetings ago. I'll be bringing forward something at the next council meeting to move forward on going after a grant to do that. So it'd be like 25,000 to get to the grant, and then the sewer master plan would be covered under that. We have other major projects going on. We're still working on the tank project that's not going to complete till next fiscal year. We have the Springs Improvement Project that will start next spring. Well, we'll bid it this fall and it'll start next spring. We have the Butterfly Bridge Replacement Project that'll bid next spring. What else do I got? We're in the process of active transportation and downtown revitalization plans that will hopefully lead to some direction on where we should spend, or go after more grants to improve our community related to those two thought processes. And then also we have two other sewer related, so the wastewater plant, and then we have a collections improvement project. Those are both up for SRF funding, both grants, and between those two is probably close to 15 million. Is probably where we're going to be ranging on price. And so we're in the process of developing those plans and working through those processes. And so those projects will move. We'll probably see construction closer to 25, 26 budget, but the planning process is happening now.
That has nothing to do with the pipe coming underneath the new bridge.
That's totally separate.
Okay, totally.
That's all at Caltrans. That's Caltrans's dime there.
Okay, okay.
We are working to expand the actual tank project. We're working to expand that project. And once we have that, we probably have to amended budget to accommodate for that.
Yeah.
But that would basically loop that up and back to the bridge as a part of that other project. So,
Okay.
and then there's also, I feel like I'm forgetting one. I don't know. I know there's one more. Oh, we're also going after some Clean Water Act money to maybe address some of the septic systems we still have that are along the river, and address some floodplain issues related to our I-5 lift station. And so that's the
Now that's going on.
no, not at all. Continuing full-time code enforcement and with some additional legal support and with some specialized legal support, we'll put it that way. Updated fee structures. We have 218 processes that will be happening for both solid waste and for the sewer. And then also, we're going to be reviewing our fees internally for all the rest of the stuff we do.
Aren't we coming up on the sunset of the 5-year plan for the water?
Yep.
Yeah, water would be that's 2 years out, I believe.
Okay.
I believe. Think so. And sewer is also there as
It
well,
is.
but we have some pretty immediate needs on operational costs.
Yeah.
That we need to address that a year sooner. And then focus on downtown revitalization. So I have that agreement made it to my inbox this week. So I'll be working on that and then hopefully be able to bring forward some community engagement and a plan to make that happen over the next couple of years. And then focus on tourism infrastructure. As we discussed, Mossbury Falls Committee had met and we're looking for some funding to help move that project forward into engineering and design. And that's the goal. Yeah.
So we're just, this is just information tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, so at this point, this is questions. Or did you want to cover any other pieces of the budget again? Is there anything you'd like to add from the finance committee standpoint?
When are we going to have the
Next meeting.
Oh,
Yeah, so. Yeah, I was gonna address, so there was recommendation for the community promotions funding. To be capped at 88,000. And that, we're gonna be bringing that recommendation forward on this budget with a cap, a little bit smaller of a cap for the following year after. It's a very valuable program, but it's, we just need to make sure that we're keeping, we still got our budget, we gotta meet, and we're still doing that, but
is that something that would require a motion?
so
I'm not saying that's period.
no, that will come forward at the, it'll come forward at the next meeting.
And then I know we had talked about, unless you wanna, about doing the community promotions, bringing that in front of the council on that meeting that we were moved to June 29th meeting.
29th, okay.
I know that Mike Rodriguez was asking about it. That's one of the
Yeah.
So right now, I think we're looking at that June 29th meeting, maybe, and trying to bring them in front of the finance committee on the 12th and the 13th.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly, just 12th. Groups will come to the finance committee on the 12th, and then finance committee will have their recommendation at some point, and then hopefully on the 29th meeting for city council.
Most of the differences there between the ask and what we're going to be.
So it's the
I mean, we can get into that later. I don't.
Okay.
yeah, it's not on the agenda.
Okay, so fine. Just curious.
Are there any questions on the budget or the proposed goals? All right, seeing none, we'll open this up for public comment. If members would like to make a public comment, they'll have 3 minutes. You may approach the podium. Or you may raise your hand on Zoom. You're good.
Still Peter Arth. I'm after 4 years on the council and a founding member of the finance committee, I find the proposed budget deeply disappointing. And here's why. In 3 minutes, I could only address 3 items. The first one, of course, is the airport. In the 123 budget, the staff has offered the following goals and objectives for the years 2021-23. There are 15 goals. And of those 15 goals, 6 of them relate to the airport. And of the 6 goals, not a single one has been addressed. And that wouldn't be so worrisome if the airport was making money. But as I look at the budget you're about to adopt, the airport loses money in the next 2 fiscal years. The airport committee, as far as I know, never meets. So how can this be okay? If the airport's losing money, the traditional refuge has been taken from the general fund. What is the city going to do? Sidewalks, there was a specific action plan in the 21-23 budget to start dealing with trees, start dealing with sidewalks. We learned earlier on that the state doesn't give the city very much money to fix the sidewalks. The sidewalks will not fix themselves. So why wouldn't the city be looking at its liability? You're going to redevelop the downtown, the children's park, and you have dangerously unsafe, unsightly sidewalks. City of Mount Shasta dealt with this years ago with pavers. I tried to demonstrate on Sacramento Avenue how pavers make so much more sense than grinding and chipping and filling potholes, but the city just wishes it away. So there's nothing in the draft budget that I see that says anything about sidewalks. The third is the taxpayers pay for an independent audit of our budget. And all I have ever seen is Charlie Pillion's audit report for the year ended 2021. But in the back of that audit report, there's a corrective action plan that involves the finance director and a number of steps that the city concurred in that need to be taken. Have those been done or not? You can't tell from this budget. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments related to the proposed budget for the next fiscal years? Seeing none, we'll move back into discussion. Is there any other questions or discussion at hand? Otherwise, this is an information only item and will return at the next regularly scheduled meeting.
The 29th, I thought you said.
No, 15th, and then the 29th is the community promotion.
Okay.
Yeah, just because there won't be enough time between the finance.
I got
committee-
you.
Yep.
All right. Seeing none, we'll close the item and move into our next agenda item, which is item 13B, our public works building update.
All right, so we I met on site last week with with Pace Engineering, go over the site plan, kind of get some final updates. Received the updated site plan yesterday. I think I have one more tweak to make, and then we'll be bringing forward the site plan to city council on the 15th is the projected plan. What I would like to do is I would like to ask the council to meet for an informational brief at the site at 5 p.m. on the 15th, if you guys are open to that. Currently, so running a lot of things, feels like a marathon, running a lot of things in parallel here. So we got notification from M-Plan that we could get a ministerial exemption on our environmental for the project, and so that's great. And so I will get that taken care of so we can move forward. We're be working on the bid document shortly, and as well as the financing. We're going to bring that back to finance committee. I don't know if I'll get that on the 12th, but it will happen hopefully this month. And then kind of generally to figure out, where's our budget lie. And then we will be hopefully in progress for that. Let's see what else. I don't know. I think that's it.
Any questions on the public works?
5 p.m. on the 15th, correct?
5 p.m. Yes.
Could I request that you notice that as a special meeting, just so that we are within project
Yep.
regulations and more than 3 of us attend at 5 at the site, and then just put the address on there that it's just an open meeting, public works building update, and then closed meeting.
Where's the rough estimate in your head there about when the demolition will take place in the building there?
Down here?
No.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I can see it.
that one already happened. That one happened. Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Right, so we laid all that stuff out, so I guess to further update, so. June 20th, so city is off on the 19th for Juneteenth holiday. The 20th is a Tuesday after railroad days. We will begin starting the water main project. To answer your question, the demolition will come as part of the bid package. So we're gonna bid it in a series. We're gonna act as a general contractor to hopefully save some money. And so we're gonna bid the building or demolition, dirt work and the building as one project. And then once the structure's up, then we will go in and get the subs to do electrical, fire and plumbing.
The key is to get the building up so the equipment can be in before.
Right, that's the goal. Ultimate goal is to get it up as quickly as possible so we can get our equipment back inside. And then we'll worry about the build out on the interior after that. But in addition to that, we are I think those containers for Rotary and for the rec department will be here next week.
So I just want to make sure they had time, that'll be great.
Yeah, so I would not expect to see any demolition until possibly August.
Yeah.
And you said that walk was the
15, yes. And that's 4841, basically the Parks and Rec District building. We can just meet there in the parking lot.
All right, I'll open this up for public comment. If anyone would like to make a public comment regarding the Public Works building update. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on from our item because it is information only. Just for the education of the public, this item is on every agenda until we resolve the Public Works building issue. And so we'll move into our last new business item because 14A was moved to an earlier time as was 13C. And we are now on 14B, Public Works equipment purchase.
All right. Okay, Mayor and Council, so typically I like to include this stuff in the budget, but due to some ongoing challenges, with our truck purchases and the longevity it's taken to get them on the budget. So we had one new truck that showed up that we bought our plow for in 2021. It just showed up last month. We have another new truck that got ordered at the same time, is showing up in July. And so in order for us to have an additional truck for snow plowing, we feel it's prudent to add that on this snow plow on this budget. And so one of the reasons is want to make sure we have a snow plow for the winter, because based on last winter, expected that they probably might sell out. And two, the lead time. So we're running. So the one we have proposed here is actually, when we look at the timeline, it doesn't even deliver till August. And so by the time we have installation, everything complete with the truck and the plow, we're looking at late September. And as we all know, it can snow very shortly after that.
We're getting a new plow too, because the old one fell off the truck.
Yeah, different truck, new plow.
Okay,
New truck, new plow.
cool.
So the new truck will be here.
Thank God.
It might be here in June, but we're not purchasing till July 1. And but it's en route is what we were told. So
Okay.
The other reason is from a funding standpoint. So when you look back at our budget, we spent approximately 123,000 in our snow removal budget this fiscal year. So everything within this fiscal year gets reimbursed next March. So if we wait till July 1, we won't get a reimbursement for that purchase until almost 18 months later. And so I just wanted to make sure we got it in this budget to kind of shorten the time frame before we get our reimbursement from the state.
And so half of this is being reimbursed.
Yes, so 50% of snowplow, it's being purchased in the snow equipment budget.
Okay,
It will be reimbursed. back to
Okay.
the state.
50%.
50% of the Boston snowplow. Yes, so that's item one. Item two, so I'm making a recommendation to kind of give our guys a little reprieve. They do a lot of hard work out there. In the summer, we spend a lot of time mowing grass. And most of it's with a push mower or a weed eater. And so making a recommendation to give them another tool in their toolbox, speed up the amount of time and give them some relief. And so adding a 0-turn mower with a bagging option so they can take a lot less time mowing the grass with the 21-inch push mower. And so And here, Councilmember Clarno had asked for kind of an analysis of that. So I used to sell these in my past life. So I kind of understand their life cycle. They're about a 2,500 to a 3,000 hour machine. I would expect for the amount of stuff we have to mow, we're gonna be 100 to 150 hours a year. This purchase price of $8,625. I'd expect we would cut our mowing time into a third, and so we would be able to have that cost benefit back to do other things in other areas within about 2.5 years. And so.
Well, that also leaves them time in the day for other tasks
Mhm.
and they're not burnt out from
Right.
push. That's a win-win, I see.
So I'm also making that recommendation to purchase that mower. They do have it in stock and we could have it next week.
I'll move into questions.
So the idea is we have to do this before July 1st in order to get that 50%, is that right?
For the snowplow, yes, the mower is just having,
Yeah.
it's grass season.
We need it now.
All right, seeing no other questions, we'll open this up for public comment. Anyone who wishes to make a public comment on the public works equipment purchase. You can either raise your hand on Zoom or approach the podium. Seeing none, we will move back into discussion. Is there any discussion on the item at hand?
No, ma'am.
I move to approve the purchase of snowplow and mower.
I second it.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. All those,
Roll call.
Councilmember Keisler,
Aye.
Councilmember Deutsch,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Clarno,
Aye.
Mayor Lucchese,
Aye.
and Councilmember Bryan is absent.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. We're now into item 15, which is our future agenda items. You'll see a list here of the items coming up. I believe the Fish and Wildlife update on the cleanup project is next meeting. Is that correct? Okay,
Yeah.
so that
There's-
where.
Next meeting is gonna be pretty hefty.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about the budget for 4 meetings in a row, so I would highly recommend the council members, if you do review the budget and you have any questions that come up, please send them to the finance director ahead of time. So that we're able to do that. If we do have a big meeting, we want to make sure that is addressed ahead of time as well as in the meeting. Any other?
I see planning commission. Has it been notified that we're seeking a planning commission?
It has, and I don't know if we've seen an applicant yet. So of these will be on the 15th, so Fish and Wildlife will be the 15th. Snow removal policy ad hoc committee, probably the 15th, sewer ad hoc, probably the 15th. And hopefully planning commissioner. And well, community promotions is the 29th. And then I also have 2 additional potential that may be closed session items. I will.
I do have an agenda question. Was the move to not have the closed session at 5:30 for a specific reason? Because I think that the idea of keeping people outside when they normally are showing up here at 6 just puts them in a situation there.
There was a conflict.
Okay, then we'll find you back to normal otherwise. Okay,
We always shoot.
I understand. That's what I was thinking.
Is there going to be conflict between that and the sidewalk group?
I mean, I could bump the site through up a little bit.
I will say that I for one appreciate councils letting those people, bumping it up, letting those people go rather than sit around and wait. That was cordial on our part.
And I'll think about that a little different.
Yeah, we'll take that into account for the pre-agenda meeting and have a discussion, because if
Thank
John is available, that's the other factor.
Exactly.
So,
Thank you.
all right,
I just felt really angry the whole time when there's 4 people out there.
Mhm.
it happens.
Yep.
We do our
Are you
best.
ready for a motion? I motion we adjourn.
All right, second.
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you all for coming.
Okay, we should take time to see what the eye is opposed. We have to-
Are you taking notes? Are you?
I
I gotta say.